Stepchild. Can really happen. Stepchild only happens here, the marriage situation, right? We have an individual who we have a man and a woman, right? Woman has a child with another man before. Afika nengane, right? Um, and then the man has two choices, right? Look, if she decides to say, okay, fine, I want to come into my marriage with this child. And then the man says, okay, you know what? I'm fine. I'm happy. I will love your child and I'll raise them as my own. What is there to be cognizant of or to be aware of, right? Number one, the most important rule, she has an issue all the time on Twitter, the child or a stepchild can never under any circumstances take the stepfather's surname. And that is the first mistake all stepchildren do, is they take the stepfather's surname. The cardinal rule of stepfatherhood is you never give your stepchild your surname. You cannot give your stepchild your surname because you have no cultural or ancestral rights or claim over that child. Therefore, the child must remain with the mother's maiden surname, or alternatively, they follow the procedure. Guys, the person who dropped the Q&A, please can you just copy paste it into the text box, into the Zoom webinar chat so I can see it there and so we can all see it as well, right? Or it can go back to his biological father's home. What, as a stepfather, do you have rights to? If you are going to get married to a woman who has another man's child, not a problem, right? In fact, it can also be a blessing because remember one of the laws of African spirituality, spiritual diversity can be actually introduced through ingane or mlanjwa, right? It's going to be very complicated. What I'm going to say is going to be seen a little complicated and slightly contradictory to the surname thing, but it'll make sense, right? It is not unheard of, right, for a stepchild to come into the family, right, and then ibusiso, the blessings ancestrally that are meant for the family, ziela kulengane, who's the stepchild. Especially if that stepchild has been raised pretty much from the age of 1 or 2 all the way up until 18, 19, 20, right? Yikonje, the one thing a stepchild needs to do, and stepchildren are not doing enough of this. I've actually never heard of a stepchild doing it at all, actually, right? In my entire life. Stepchildren need to go home when they are older, when they're 31, 32, especially before that stage of marriage, right? Uyothenga inkomo, and then you are going to do umsebenzi wokubonga. You're going to thank the step parents, sorry, your stepfather and his family for raising you. Nansi into key. So there's two things okay for stepchildren. One is keeping isibongo ska mawako. Two, umsebenzi wokubonga for ukhuliswa. Because the two people that are obliged to raise you, umawako and babwako, if anyone else other than those two individuals raises you, you owe them inkomo, or you owe them umsebenzi wokubonga. If ugogo wakho raised you, hambe umsebenzi wokubonga. If your aunt raised you and your uncle raised you, you're going to do 2 cows, 1 male, 1 female, one for mkhulu, one for malume, one for aunt wakho. Okay? 2 things that are holding stepchildren back, right? And the thing is, these 2 things, guys, they're very patient. They wait till they only, what we're seeing is that they only affect stepchildren once they are married and have children of their own. Right? That's how patient these 2 things are. Isibongo and umsebenzi wokubonga. As a stepfather, when you marry this woman, you don't do any cultural rituals for lengane. On the day of the wedding, all you are going to do is nizombika umntwana emsamo. Nimbike nithi cha nansi ingane efika nomakoti. Okay, usibanibani, right? And you are going to explain to them what you are taking this child into this family, you are going to love the child and treat them and raise them as one of your own. Please, can you kindly do so as well, Nina Badal? Done. That's it. No animal, no nyongo, no spanja, nothing for that child. Those were big. That's it. Okay? In the event that the mother's maiden family is non-existent at all, no one's there, then as a step parent, you can handle the negotiations, you can handle the rituals on their behalf. But that is only in the event there was absolutely and unequivocally no one there, right? If there is one person that exists, mhlambe kunogogo omdala khona, akube uyena oshisa impepho akhulume emsamo amenzele ingane imbeleko, umhlonyana, umemule, umsebenzi wokubonga, amfakela abadala emzini wakhe, all of those things. So another thing, when the stepchild buys a house, you can't wena as the stepfather uthi no, nangu Siyabonga ukwakhela umuzi. Cha, uSiyabonga ke ingane yakho. Yes, umkhulisile kodwa culturally speaking uyingane kale, right? So umuntu ozokufakela abadala emzini wakho as a stepchild is going to be your mother's maiden family or umalume if asakho. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It's very clear, right? There's a question here or comment, I'm not sure which one. Very interesting. Another scenario where I've seen emakhaya kufika umfana wakasenye isibongo mhlambe ezowelusa, and the ancestors of that family give all the blessings to him. Baze bathi akathengwa ngenkomo abe like no, no, that happens. The client I have right now, guys, it's very interesting. The stepchild, the stepchildren thing is very interesting. Wafika umama nengane, right? Ekhaya kunekhwama. Okay, so yeah, she has a child with the husband, right? Kanti right? Listen to this. This is how you see about Dala when they work in interesting ways. The woman had this child with another man, but this man also right? But le kwama that she had from this man, they had a problem. And they needed, sometimes ikwama need something else to make it work. With that man. She meets the man number 2 and she has another child with this man, but she still has the first child. Kanti, the element yebimoya that is needed to unlock this child comes from this family here, the stepfather's family. And that's how Ingane was unleashed. But if she had stayed with that man, Ikwamazum of Ingane would have not been unlocked. So step parenthood is the most interesting life that one can live. And it's not unheard of. It's almost common. But again, we would see Ingane, because remember, also this is also another way of how Upnyanga comes into the family, right? Because umuntu asisho ukuthi leyo ngane ifike kwesinye isibongo, right? Nina animbike emsamo anenzi lutho kodwa uhlala nani, ne? As you see ngoba bathi akathengwe ngenkomo, what they are doing is bathenga ikhwama. Ubunyanga emndenini sometimes kungena ngaleyo ndlela. So when that child has passed away, what he does to the family, he says, Nina Mkhize ngiyabonga nokuthi ningikhulise and welcoming me into your home. Nangu ubunyanga, nasi ikhwama. And then either my children or my brother's children or one of my cousin's children, right, has ikwama. That's why sometimes ikwama don't come from someone who's in our lineage. Ikwama can come from leyo ngane yafika, right? From isinye isibongo. Okay? So it happens like that. Then, so which actually moves me quite nicely onto the next one, the adopted child. There's two scenarios, guys. Kunengane, like what Ngubane is explaining here is a form of adoption where you know the surname, right? It's not a problem when you know the surname. So when you know the surname and you get singana, what you can do, you can either do it this, you can go find someone of the exact surname. So I can go and say, I have a friend who's born ngicela ungikhiphele lapho kwaqwaba ungikhiphele leyo ngane kunini bachazele isimo, explain the situation to them, right? Akhishwe nje kahle angeniswa kaMkhize. That's when you know the surname. When you don't know the surname, right, it's very tricky. When you don't know the surname, in that instance you can go straight to Baba Mkhize ngibachazele isimo ukuthi isibongo asaziwa. But it is very important that you ask them to reveal umlando wasekhaya nemfanelo that needs to be done for them.